and welcome to the first episode of the Obsidian Coast Podcast. I am your host, LavaShot449. As I cough, unprofessional of me, I apologize. And tonight we have a very special guest. That guest is my buddy Richy, uh, long time, very not really long time friend, very short form friend, but been a big homie and has. Uh, I'm just gonna let this interview play out, and we'll see what happens. Hi, Richy. How are you?
What's up? Doing good.
Perfect. So, for prosperity's sake, because I'm pretty sure not a single person who watches this or listens to this is going to know who the hell you are, give a brief overview as to who is the man in the Discord call currently.
What's up, everyone? My name is Richy. I am the lead vocalist of Third in Delaware, hailing from Dallas, Texas. We are a post-hardcore slash metalcore band, and yeah, that's about it.
Cool. So you and I have been friends coming up on like what a year?
Probably.
Roughly? I don't know when.
Roughly, maybe a little bit over. I'm not sure.
I forget when Steven's bachelor party was. But
yeah, I don't recall either.
Yeah, but we originally we met at Steven's bachelor party and bonded over video games first and then metalcore second. But we could...
Yeah, it was only about 30 minutes until we went into it, because I think we talked about a couple video games we both played at one point, and then discussions went towards music later on. But yeah,
because Sleep Token got mentioned and it all went downhill from there.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
that's how it goes nowadays.
So this will be the topic that I'd like to try to discuss is metalcore in just its entirety, where it came from, how it evolved, the milestones of metalcore itself, and where it's shaping up currently in the music scene. So first, I know all the answers to these questions because I watched your last interview, but give the audience your humble beginnings into not just metalcore as a genre, but music in general.
My background to music in general?
Yeah, start from...
So how I started?
Yeah, how you found music, what your driving influence was when you were a kid, or when you started really getting into music, and then how it led to being the lead vocalist for a metalcore band.
I think music was pretty much my first hobby that was kind of the first hobby since my parents divorced when I was a early teenager, maybe 11, 12, 13. I went on to live with my mother, and my father left a 1970s acoustic guitar in the garage, and the action was terrible. If you know anything about acoustic guitars from the 1970s, they are a pain in the ass to play. They are way easier to play now. You'd have to basically, your fingers bled. That's how hard you had to push on the strings. That's called the action, is the distance between the string and the neck and the wood that you have to press it to make the sound. But I grabbed that guitar and I was like, I'll probably, I don't know, let's do something with it. And I eventually learned, I don't know, a couple soft rock songs, like some Three Doors Down, like Kryptonite or some shit like that.
And then Three Doors Down, Oasis type shit that you learned.
Yeah, pretty much. And I eventually became I became that annoying guy that brought a guitar to every party. But normally people hate those guys. They're like, oh my god, this guy brought a guitar. He's gonna sing Kumbaya really badly and barely know how to play the guitar. But it kind of evolved into, hey, you sound pretty cool. And I'm like, thanks, dude. And so people didn't mind me playing guitar and singing every once in a while. I started with the guitar, but I've always been a singer. Whether I knew it or not. I've had zero formal training in any music at all, period. But I've always been a singer, and I know next to nothing about music theory. I probably know music theory pretty well without knowing it, in the same way that like Johnny Craig does. Like, he doesn't really know, like nobody taught him theory, but he kind of understands what goes after this. If he does A, he knows that B will kind of, follow A in a musical sense. And that's kind of the same kind of instinct that I compare myself having. Anyways, so I've always learned to play an instrument so that I could sing over it. So I know a little bit of piano, and I know a little bit of guitar. I know guitar more than I do piano, but both of those instruments, I don't solo, I don't jam. If you tell me to jam in E minor, I would have absolutely zero clue what to do, other than E minor itself, but I don't know where to go from there. But like, you kind of learn by ear, and you learn how to read tabs, because it's easy, because it's just numbers, and you're like, okay, that sounds right. And I have relative pitch. I don't have necessarily perfect pitch, but I have really good relative pitch, I like to think. So just that combined with muscle memory allows you to kind of learn from ear or use a tab if you need. I don't read music. I know like the basics of how to read music, but I couldn't do it like in real time. If you asked me to like read it and play it at the same time, or even to read it and sing something at the same time, I couldn't do that. But anyways, I kept going. I got into metal. I started with pop punk in the early 2000s. Mid 2000s, I went kind of emo. Down the whole rabbit hole of the Hot Topic emo, the mall emo, the My Chem, the Story of the Year, things like that. And then I got a little bit heavier around maybe 2006, 2007, right around the time I also learned how to start playing the guitar. I got into probably the earlier metalcore of like Killswitch, Engage, Howard Era, Bullet for My Valentine. All That Remains was the first metal song the first metal band that I really listened to and I really liked, that I knew word for word, was a band called All That Remains. They are a Christian metalcore band, and they were featured on like the Saw 2 soundtrack. And Saw was like the first 3 Saws were super popular. And I remember hearing that because, it's like metal and it's like, oh, people dying. Oh, that's metal. So they threw, I think they threw This Calling, the song by All That Remains, on the soundtrack or the score, whatever, something related to Saw, the movies. And I was like, that's sick. And so that kind of just got me started. And I got into All That Remains and Killswitch Engage and Bullet for My Valentine and, and then like all of those like adjacent bands like, Avenged Sevenfold and things like that. A little bit later, fast forward, I'm still playing your normal Kumbaya acoustic stuff, your Wonderwalls and your Kryptonite and your, all your sad boy heartbreak shit.
Did you ever go as far as like ISIS by the Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh yeah, Iris, yeah.
Or Iris, not ISIS.
Yeah.
Episode 1, we're gonna get canceled. Let's go.
There you go. Start early.
Start early. Get out in front of it early. I'm not canceled on Twitter at all. The second this hits Twitter, I'm getting full canceled. I love this.
Yeah. Somehow you haven't gotten canceled yet already.
Somehow I play Destiny. I still wonder how I haven't gotten canceled yet.
But yeah, so anyways, I got a little heavier into deathcore towards like early or late late aughts, early tens, I got into like Whitechapel, Suicide Silence, Mitch era Suicide Silence. A lot into heavy stuff, As Blood Runs Black, Job for a Cowboy, all of that stuff. So I went pretty heavy for a little bit, and that's kind of when I learned, I started teaching myself how to scream. So I sang first, then I learned guitar, then I learned how to scream, and then, and by learn, it just like trial and error of years of just like, that doesn't sound right, that doesn't sound right. Because back in the day, now you have like Melissa Cross, and you have Cardivox Academy, you have all of these really, really amazing resources to at least get the basics of screaming. But back then, when I was a kid, you didn't have anything. You just kind of listened to music, and then you tried to emulate it. I wanted to sound like Howard of Killswitch Engage and Light the Torch. Now Light the Torch. So I kind of like, you have that operatic singing, and then that crazy Fry scream, and everything in between. He's a really, really powerful, and versatile vocalist. And I always, because I sang first and then I screamed, I always kind of leaned towards bands that did both. So obviously Bullet for My Valentine and Killswitch Engage are two perfect examples of people that can carry a vocalist who can carry a really good melody, can write a really good arena chorus, something really catchy, and then still go dummy heavy when you want to, and, with all the Fry screams and, the low screams. And then from my deathcore background, you get into like the really, really low, the really, really high, guttural, high, even higher Fries of the pterodactyl shit. And then you got your toilet bowl gutturals from Whitechapel, good old Phil Bozeman. So I kind of have this versatile, or I've heard a lot of everything in the spectrum. I've pretty much heard it. And I've loved it at one point or another, at some point in my upbringing. And then all the while still, bringing my acoustic guitar and singing Goo Goo Dolls and Oasis and Dave Matthews Band at parties. And it eventually got to the point where people started like, hey, can you play at my party? And I'm like, sure. And that turned into, hey, can you like learn all of these songs and play all of these songs at my party? I really like these songs, and I'll pay you to do it. And I'm like, sure. And then that turned into, hey, I really like this song. Can you make this song pretty and sing it at my wedding? And that's what it turned into. So I did that for a little bit. And all the while I met our now drummer. He was the drummer when I joined. He left for a little bit, and then he came back. So right now he is the current drummer, and he was also the drummer when I joined in 2017, 2018. I don't actually remember, but through mutual friends, I met Ryan, who was the drummer of Third and Delaware. I'm not the original vocalist. The original vocalist moved to California to go to school and live with his dad. And they were like, hey, we need a new vocalist. And Ryan knew that I sang because he actually played with me at a couple of the weddings and a couple of the parties. He bought a cajon drum, and we always wanted to do music together, but he was in two bands at the time, and he didn't really have the free time to start a third project with me. So it was kind of like we stayed friends, and then he hit me up because he knew that I sang, and I was like, "Hey, my like main band needs a vocalist." He had no idea that I knew how to scream. I had never screamed in a project before, other than your shitty high school, like your shitty middle school and high school bands. Like I was maybe in 2 or 3 of those, and we never got a show. We never played a show. We just kind of, got together in someone's garage and attempted to play A Day to Remember. And that's kind of how most people go. You just try to play some covers of some bands that you think are cool, and that's like your first band. Other than those kinds of things, this was my first like real serious project. Third and Delaware has been my only serious group project. I've released a few covers officially on Spotify, and I've released like one or two original songs um, as a solo artist, and otherwise, I don't really have too much experience in music other than performing live at parties and weddings. So I joined in probably 2018, I think, and then we've been going since then. Took a small break during the pandemic, as did every band, because you couldn't play live. And then we came back around 2022, and then we've been playing. We've been lucky to share the stage with tons of bands, a lot of bands that I considered heroes, especially when you get into metalcore. We've played So What Music Festival. We've played Emo Night a few times. We've played Monster Mosh. Toured everywhere from between here and Memphis. So not quite national tour. I haven't seen the entirety of the country yet, but I love all the opportunities that we've been able to have so far, and that's pretty much it. Kind of the quick history of like what I did. It was just I was bored and my parents got divorced and I wanted a hobby, so that just kind of became it.
And it's interesting because obviously, like I alluded to earlier, there was another interview that you and the newest member of Third and Delaware did, um, and hearing your background and how you got started in music, I don't know if when we first met, if you had mentioned the wedding singing, the wedding performances.
Yeah, I probably didn't. It's not something I really bring up, like meeting new people.
I mean, we were. It might have. We were way drunk that night. That was a bunch of like mid 20 somethings bonding over metalcore music and alcohol. That was a
Yeah, I feel I I look back fondly on that party because it was like 2 days where two different groups of people got completely plastered. Day one was like our group was like or like the it was like one half of people that got along. Not that I didn't get along with the other half, the other 5, 6, 7 people that were there, but it was like we got like the music people got lit night one, and then the other group,
magic.
all
The magic
yeah, the
players.
match,
Yeah.
yeah, but like all of y'all were like the card game, the Magic players,
Yeah,
and all that stuff. But
we
like,
yeah, because we knew we knew Steven, and up until that point, I had only known Steven, Steven, Craig, Luis, Zach, and Mike, and Rob,
mm,
and I only knew them because I played Magic. I played Magic the Gathering, so I knew Steven, and Steven was kind enough to host me, Craig, Zach, and Mike at his place during the pandemic, where we just played Magic for like 6 hours a night, once a week for like the entirety of the pandemic. It helped me not go stir crazy, and to this day, I will never. I can never repay him for that kindness. That was like, it got me out of the house. It got me to hang out with my friends and play Magic the Gathering and eat really good Indian food. And it kept me not going stir crazy through the pandemic, because there was that, we'd go there on Fridays, and then there's 6 days where I'm not doing anything, but I know that that seventh day is that Friday where I'm going to Stevens to play Magic, and it helped me like keep my head during a otherwise very troubling time for like the majority of people. And then
yeah,
so
and just notice that every single artist period was going through an existential crisis during that time because we had no idea if we would ever play in front of an audience or on a stage again.
yeah, like
So yeah, it was
the
definitely a weird time.
the pandemic was definitely like a weird like transformative experience. I don't understand time anymore because of it. Time does not exist to me. I You could tell me that we hung out 2 weeks ago and it would feel like 2 years. You could tell me we hung out 2 years ago and it would feel like we hung out last week. Time does not make sense to me anymore because of the like stasis bubble we were put in when the pandemic hit. It was like I played too many video games and played too much Magic the Gathering to the point where now I'm a little burnt out on both. So we're doing things like this, starting a podcast while I'm currently not employed. I have free time now. I didn't when I was working, and now I do. So, but yeah, night one, you and was it you? It was you, Trev. Who else?
John, Steven.
Yeah, John, Steven, and Steven, and
I don't know if you want to put all the names if you're gonna bleep them out, but yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. First names are fine. Like they don't know who they don't know.
Yeah.
I keep my private life. For some things, I keep my private life very ambiguous online. Not because I'm mega fucking popular. I think I have like 20, maybe under 100 followers on Twitter. Like I have followers because the people that follow me play Destiny, and like that's my following is a bunch of other Destiny players, and I have a few moderately well-known names in the Destiny community that follow me, but other than that, it's just a bunch of my high school buddies and Destiny players. But it was definitely like night one, the music guys got shit-faced, and then night two, especially night two after we came back from dinner at that like hole-in-the-wall Mexican place. I mean, Mike got shit-faced. That was fun. Steven passing out in the shower, and then Mike having his incident was funny. But yeah, it really didn't take a whole lot for you and I to start like clicking. I don't even know how Path of Exile came up in conversation, but I had mentioned that I
someone was playing Diablo 4.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Jacoby was playing Diablo.
Yeah.
I had mentioned, and he had mentioned something about Path of Exile, and I was like, "Oh, I play that game," and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
another one," and I
Yep.
just started, and I said, "Yeah, when we get back, we'll play some Path of Exile," and then I realized, like, 20 minutes later when we were talking about music, I'm like, damn, this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. Little did I know that like 30 minutes after that, I got told that you were the lead singer of a fucking metalcore band, and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. I'm like, that's really cool to have someone.
Because you didn't know Sean, right? You didn't know my guitarist. Yeah.
Did I know Sean? No, I did not know Sean.
Yeah, because he didn't play Magic. He knows how to play, and he has. Yeah, he played. Yeah, I was like, I know he was really into another game. I don't know what he does. Yeah.
He was really into it at the time, so they
okay. Yeah.
And then he and then they bonded over not only Flesh and Blood but their love of music. Because Steven's as big of a metalhead as anyone I've met. I mean,
yeah, the first time that Steven and Sean, my guitarist, hung out outside of the card game stuff, I was there too. We all went to a pop punk show in Deep Ellum together.
Yeah.
At Cheapsteaks. So like the first as soon as Steven and Sean were getting close, like I was right there through it too. So it was cool to see. Yeah.
And it's interesting because we had a lot of like interesting conversations about metalcore. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Segue to this conversation. We had talked about like drummers specifically, and we had gotten into like it's like a 30-minute like not argument but like full deep discussion on like who's the best drummer in metalcore, and then that just evolved into like who's the best metalcore band like currently making music. But what have you I guess the first question I'll ask is, what have you taken away from metalcore as a genre itself?
Metalcore, what I probably love most about metalcore is
like
that
metal in general. Because like
I'll go with metalcore for now. Metalcore specifically, it's my favorite. It's my favorite out of all the cores. I love hardcore. I used to love deathcore. I still do in a way. but metalcore has always been kind of the staple because there's so many different. It's probably the simplest form of metal because I see metalcore as like a template, especially nowadays when you have bands throwing all kinds of genres in with metalcore. Metalcore is just pop music with breakdowns. You have something that's catchy. You have a lot of your the chord diagrams or the chord structures. In a key there's 7 notes in a key, and then you put those keys normally correspond with a chord. Those chords correspond with major and minor depending on the scale and the key that you're in. And metalcore really follows the same tropes as pop music, almost to the T. But you kind of throw a lot more rhythmic drum patterns, rhythmic open palm muted guitar chug patterns, things like that. You throw in intricate riffs, heavy breakdowns, catchy choruses, yeah. And you throw in a lot of those things, and it kind of spices up that pop formula in a bit. It's the same formula, but you kind of hear it a little differently. And that's probably something that stuck with me the most, because you can make something really catchy and still make something really, like, metal at the same time. And so I came from a pop punk background, which is quite poppy as well. I came from an early 2000s R&B background, so a lot of catchy hooks, a lot of catchy choruses. Got Neo and Usher and things like, yeah. So I loved all of that, and Trey Songz, and I came from like a pretty specific background, but a lot of them kind of dealt with catchy stuff, pop formula, and then I knew all about. I kept up with pop music as much as I guess anyone else, really, because we had like radio back then, so you'd always just kind of throw on whenever you heard Imagine Dragons for the 27th time in the same hour on your rock stations. You're just like, all right, let me just change it to anything else. But yeah, no hate on Imagine Dragons, but I love their first album's lit. But yeah, yeah.
Because really, I and for those who haven't, I don't really talk about this. I have with certain people, and definitely with you, I've talked about it. I am a baby in the metalcore scene. You described my music taste as post-hardcore.
Yeah, you got a lot of kind of. It's similar. It's kind of like boy band vocals, but yeah, you have a little bit more singer songwriter, a little bit more your Rain City Drives, some a good portion of Dayseeker and things like that. A lot of more focused on like the tonality and timbre of like the lead vocalist. I know you like DGD.
Yeah. Because I really, when I was in high school, this was like 2010s. Oh my god, it would have been probably like what 2012. It's probably when I first started really getting into like pop punk as a genre. I had a buddy of mine who's unfortunately not with us anymore. And he really like it was two different things that really like got our friendship started. It was our love of Suicide Boys, a rap group out of New Orleans, and pop punk. And I mean, my genre or my like music collection on my like MP3 player back then, I mean, nowadays makes like the average metalcore listener roll their eyes and go, "Okay, Grandpa, let's get you back to the nursing home." It's like the Paramore and the A Day to Remember and Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil and like that sort of like pop punk era, like Fall Out Boy and all that stuff. Like I definitely was Panic. I was heavy into Panic. I was heavy into ADTR. Heavy into Paramore. I mean, that was like I think Paramore was probably the first pop punk, like that era of like pop punk music that I really like sunk my teeth into was, and this is dating me a lot here. Paramore's song "Decode" was on the Twilight soundtrack in the first movie.
That
And
song's lit, by the way. I talk about that song all the time with a new relatively newer friend of mine. I'm like, without Twilight, we wouldn't have Decode because I went and looked at it. Paramore wrote Decode specifically for the Twilight whatever. So arguably, like love or hate Twilight, the Twilight series, we wouldn't have Decode without it. And Decode is a legendary song.
Because Paramore hadn't really popped off that hard until Decode dropped, because Twilight was like an actual fucking like world changing event was when it dropped in theaters. Like the books were already big, but when they made the movie adaptation, I mean, you get the pipeline of like, without Twilight, we don't have Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Like that, like like everyone in that movie garnered so much fame for it, and Paramore really got put on the map. That and oh, yeah, I can't remember the Muse. Muse did Supermassive Black Hole during the baseball scene, and that was really like, I really liked Muse. Like I liked their tonality, the sound of them. I was really I experienced music. I think probably nowadays is different, but back then, I think a lot of my friends that listen to the same music probably listen to it for like just the sort of catchiness of it. I like immersed myself in the sound. That was like really the big thing for me, was like the sound, the tonality, like how it made me feel. If a song gave me goosebumps, it was an autosave in almost every single like playlist that I could get my hands on. And for that era, like almost all of Panic, all of Fall Out Boy, all of A Day to Remember, Paramore, like especially heavy on like MCR and Pierce the Veil, like that made me probably like transcends not the correct word, but like I joke and like astral project into like a different world when I was listening to music. And now it's probably more on the lyrical side. We'll get into the massive download festival headliner elephant in the room in a little bit, but it really was like that was what I cut my teeth on. And now listening to sort of not newer, but like newer than what I was listening to when I was a teenager, when I was like 13 or like 14, was really like really, the Day Seekers, the Sleep Tokens, the Dance Gavin Dance. Oh man, I can't remember. Now I can't. Band name is escaping me. You sent me a playlist on Spotify, and I had just recently taken a trip, end of May, to Chicago to visit some family because I'm originally from Chicago. So I definitely had like the Midwest emo sort of vibe. Like that was, that's always gonna be my go-to, is pop punk, and Midwest emo was like, will always be a fallback to me if I ever need something to listen to. Just that sort of like, because tonight, like the meme that everyone says about Midwest emo is alive and kicking. But on that 16 and a half hour car ride to Chicago, I listened to so much metalcore, probably more than I had listened to in the past like 6 months. And it was that playlist is the first ever metalcore playlist I started when I was maybe 13, 14, 15 when I started that playlist. So that's got some history on it. Yeah. And then if you want, or if you or any listeners want a good, like, you were saying Midwest emo pop punk, I think last year I actually have the vinyl. The band Real Friends, which I love, even with Dan Lambton, but once even with the new vocalist, the band Real Friends released an album called Blue Hour last year, and it is probably the best combination of
pop punk and Midwest emo I've ever heard, probably, because those that know genres, Midwest emo is like great, amazing musicality, but the worst vocals you've ever heard. And I'm not saying that to make fun of it. I think they kind of know.
Shit, I will.
Everyone knows.
If you won't, I will.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about when people are like Midwest emo. It's like the best instrumentals with the worst vocals ever. But Real Friends really, really put those two genres together nicely in that album that came out in 2024, I think. So
I'll go link. Obviously, in the description of all this, I will have the band's socials, and I'll link the Spotify page for Real Friends, and I'll go give them a listen because I'm always needing new stuff to listen to. Because now that I've found like my sort of niche, obviously there's a few outliers. I say post-hardcore and you hear all this like pop punk things, but heavy on Lorna Shore, heavy on Sleep Token.
yeah, you're into the modern deathcore. I don't think I ever really showed you where all of that came from. Where like Lorna Shore and Brand of Sacrifice. None of that happens without like the era of deathcore that I got into back in like 2008, 2009, when you have Mitch Lucker era, Suicide Silence, and Whitechapel. That kind of really put deathcore on the map. So arguably, so that bands like your Lorna Shore, your Brand of Sacrifice, your Slaughter to Prevails, that bands like that can like really shine, because those bands are doing arena tours now.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
and you would not see like, I don't think deathcore's I don't think a lot of deathcore bands ever did tours that big
yeah,
until you got your modern deathcore bands now. But a lot of that doesn't happen without the past. So.
like I don't think Whitechapel like back then was probably playing like Dos Equis Pavilion.
They might have been. I'm not positive on that.
Not like scale. Like I think it's probably more like Southside Ballroom or like the Trees.
Yeah, Southside Ballroom's actually a huge venue. So they were playing. Yeah, Trees is about probably 600 caps. So probably around there. I know Whitechapel played that a lot. Mayhem Fest.
Yeah.
So but yeah.
So
Did you ever make it to Mayhem Fest or a Warp Tour, one of these big festivals? No, that sucks.
The
You youngins,
the
you
year
youngins.
the year that I could have went to Lollapalooza, we moved to Dallas.
Oh, okay.
And it was
Yeah, but that's in one place though. Like when you went back in the day, you had insanely like 100 to 200 bands traveling across the entire country over the span of 3 months. You had Mayhem and Warp Tour were the biggest,
Yeah.
and those were just legendary. Like I don't think the music scene will ever see anything like that again, because I mean, the money's probably just not there anymore, and Warped Tour barely made money as is. Bands really, everyone kind of knew you got on festivals like these so that you can get your name out there, because it's the easiest way to play to the entire country in 3 months
Yeah.
or less, probably like 2 months.
And nowadays
Yeah.
streaming has taken such a huge like role in getting like just like TikTok and excuse me, YouTube and all that stuff. Like we didn't have really that back then. I mean, you still did. Like YouTube back then was like the second best way to get your name up. But yeah, you're right. Like playing festivals, like I really wanted to go to Warp Tour, and I know Mikey, the buddy of mine who like bonded with me over Metalcore. He's got, oh, if I go back to his like YouTube channel, that you know he's got his entire YouTube channel was just him posting like full sets of people at concerts. Like he went to almost every Lollapalooza that was in Chicago. Like Lala was heavy and like heavy our rotation of like, if you wanted to go do something crazy for the year, you saved up money and you went to Lala that year. but I know he went to, I think, 2 or 3 Warp Tours and I think 1 Mayhem Fest, and
Mm.
it's still to this day a, you know, a, a a big regret of mine not going to one of the Warp Tours that I really wanted to go to. I I didn't. I was a kid. I was a teenager. I didn't have a job. I didn't have money. I couldn't ask my parents to, drop everything and take the entire family to, California so I can go to Warp Tour or
Yeah,
Mayhem Fest.
well, Warp Tour went everywhere. So Warp Tour was definitely in Chicago, and Warp Tour was $30. So for $30, you got to see all of your favorite bands. 50 towards the end. 2016 to 2018, it was probably 50, but that's still a great price to pay to see literally every single band from 11 to 11. Just all the pop punk, metalcore, and deathcore you could ever want.
Yeah.
So and it's sad because not only will, even if something like that happened again, I don't know if I've told this story, but one of my favorite pop punk bands is Mayday Parade, and they got their entire start by following Warped Tour. They were not part of the tour. They actually just followed the tour to each city, and every morning, because the thing about Warped Tour, if you didn't know, you don't know the lineup. The lineup changes every single day. You have no idea who's gonna play when. Because of that, everyone had to show up in the morning. So it forced everyone to show up early and stay all day because you had no idea if A Day to Remember is going to play at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. You have no idea. So you better show up at 11 in case they get the first slot. So that means, and the lines to get in were insane because of that. So you'd have bands like Mayday Parade, which are, if you don't know them, they're absolutely huge. They're one of the biggest pop punk bands, period, now. They followed the tour in 2006, 2005, 2007, around then, when they were a brand new band, and they walked around with the little portable CD players and your $5, your $4.99 Sony headphones, not MDRs, but like the little ones with the little puff, like 2 puff balls connected with like a string, basically, like those Sony headphones. They walked around, all 6 of them at the time, just walked around with 6 CD players and 6 $5 headphones. Like, hey, we're selling our EP. You want to give us a listen? And that's how they got popular, is because their music is amazing. Their music is great. And Kevin Lyman, the founder of Warped Tour, found out about this, and he could have just said, hey, you can't do that, don't follow us or we're gonna file a lawsuit. But Kevin Lyman let him do it. Not only did Kevin Lyman let him do it, but they he threw him on the opening the small stage a couple years into it, and then a couple years later, as they got more and more popular, they ended up being on the main stage of the tour that made them popular. And I don't think you'll ever hear a story like that again, because back then, when you were in line, you didn't have anything to do in line. So all of the people that were walking around trying to sell something, back in the day, in the Warped Tour days, you actually talked to them. You actually talked to the people in front of you, the people behind you. You talked to the people walking by. You talked to someone, PETA was always there advocating in lines for for things like South by So What, now the So What Festival, and festivals like Mayhem and Warped Tour. So you would always, it's either that or you stand there twiddling your thumbs. But towards the end of Warped Tour, and especially now, when you're in line, everyone just kind of keeps to themselves, and if anyone comes up to you, it's like a scam, right? Like, don't talk to strangers. It's like the super don't talk to strangers now. So I don't think you'll ever see anything like that again, which is really unfortunate, because now your only choice is through Instagram advertisements, Facebook advertisements, TikTok ads, paid playlists on Spotify. There's all these. the ways that bands got big back then, there are still ways to get big now. There are still ways to get noticed now, but I don't know. There's always something about that in-person experience of seeing Mayday Parade, just a bunch of kids go around selling a CD, and then the guy's just like, what are these kids doing? They're making money and I don't get any of it. Like, fuck it. That's pop punk as fuck. Like, just let the kids sell their CDs.
Yeah.
So
because that really did, like, you're right. That really was indicative of that era. That
yeah.
If you liked a new band, and like shit, even back then, like, did you ever have them on MySpace? Like, did you have their songs playing when someone went to your MySpace page? Like, back then, that was how you, like, got big. And I remember, like, Vivo on YouTube, like the official, like, Vivo pages for bands on YouTube. You would have these bands make quote unquote fake Vivo pages just to get, like, picked up enough by, like, regular mainstream media and, like, people on YouTube.
Well, that's just so people will click it, because Vivo was like the official everything for bands. So, like, you just put Vivo at the end of your YouTube account and you get some views.
It was the original blue check mark of YouTube. Like, if someone had a Vivo page, that meant they were, like, an established band. And I clicked on people that had Vivo accounts, not caring what music they made, but, oh, they're popular enough, they have a Vivo page, they must be good. But
yeah,
it's I really do regret some of my younger years of not doing the things like going to Warped Tour, going to Mayhem Fest. Like, I think I've mentioned this. I mentioned this to you for sure. We've had conversations about this, but I think I may have mentioned it once or twice on my Twitter for the podcast listeners. My music taste growing up was, my mom listened to a lot of 90s pop, and my dad listened to a lot of metal. Like, he got me into, like, the Metallica and the Pantera and the Slayer and the Maiden, and, like, the older, like, Sabbath, the older grandfathers of metal. And then both of them combined, they used to West Coast swing when they were younger, so it was a lot of country music. So it was like pop music, country music, or metal music was, like, really all we listened to in the house, with a few, interesting things back then. But my father had and still does to this day, have an entire folder on his server of nothing but music, nothing but every single band's album that he ripped off of, like, YouTube or LimeWire and stuff, and just, like, had entire downloads of music. And then when CDs were popular, he would buy the CDs and rip the CDs to the server and save them there. So, you have, like, Weezer and Whitesnake and Warrant and, Avenged Sevenfold and all that stuff. And it was really, like, that was how I got started listening to, like, back then, heavy. But nowadays, I mean, it's still heavy, but compared to, like, Sleep Token or, Whitechapel, Metallica is, like, a pop band from California.
It's funny you mentioned Weezer. Did you see Olivia Rodrigo play "Say It Ain't So" with Weezer at some festival?
I did see that on Twitter. That was
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love that. I don't know a thing about Olivia Rodrigo, but I thought she killed it. I was like, that's awesome. Yeah.
So obviously we've talked about, like, that, or the older era of metal, like metalcore, and, like, the pop punk era. Now we come to, because I still to this day don't understand the meaning behind this core of metal, and you're probably guessing what it is. What the fuck is crabcore?
Crabcore is, obviously you've seen it. So it's where you wide stance, and instead of banging your head, your entire body lifts up and down and your knees bend. So you're, like, really low to the ground and your knees are bent. So your legs look like crab legs, and you're super low to the ground. Your body's low to the ground, and your knees are out, and you have a wide stance. And then you just do that, and you go up and down. You like straighten your legs, bend your legs, and that's the movement of crabcore. Crabcore, I see crabcore as the and full disclosure, I love crabcore. There's a few reasons why I love it. One is because it, to me, and my old drummer Gamma will argue this, will fight me to the death about this, but in my opinion, I think crabcore was the beginning of electronic elements in metalcore. So in my opinion, if you don't have Attack Attack and Asking Alexandria, I don't think you have Bring Me the Horizon being as big as they are today. I don't think you have, literally every metalcore band now uses some kind of electronic element in their music, my band included. And crabcore was really kind of the start of that. And not just, and what I mean by that is the electronic elements are no longer just kind of in the background. You have a lot of early Underoath and bands like Underoath around that time in 2003, 2004-ish, where you hear a little bit of synth, but it's so soft. It's very background, just so that there's something there. But when you go into crabcore, when you go into bands like, in my opinion, the first band to really do it is a band called Icy Stars. I'll send them to you later. That band... Yeah, so that band was really the one among the first, if not the first band, metalcore band, to use those synthy electronic elements, but that was the focus. So basically, it would be like all the guitars would drop, the drummer would stop, and then they played this like synthy techno like rave kind of like beat out of nowhere, and that was kind of the focal point. That was the focus for like 5 seconds, and then they'd play some stupid 0-0 chug breakdown. And something about that was just, I loved it. It got super popular. It blew up everywhere, especially at like Warped Tour. And then you have bands like Attack Attack and Asking Alexandria were probably the two biggest ones at the time. You have them capitalizing off of that craze, combined with like, the long hair, the skinny jeans, the Hot Topic mall emo era, and you kind of just combine that with the crabcore moves and the electronic elements in metalcore, and it turned into this like craze that just swept the entire alternative scene. If you listen to any kind of alternative music in between 2008 and 2012, you knew about crabcore, because love it or hate it, it was there, and those CDs were filling up the Hot Topic shelves all around the country because of it. And I think that the electronic elements really, really, really inspired a lot of metalcore you hear today, especially my band. Now that we have Torin, our synth player, it's wild because they actually Torin's non-binary, and so that's what I mean when I say they actually didn't know who Icy Stars was at all. They knew like Attack Attack and Asking Alexandria, but I actually showed them Icy Stars, and they were like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of like I see them as the first ones." But yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of crabcore. Really, it's just electronic music with metalcore.
Because we've talked about it, and you said crabcore, and it's probably in the middle of like our 3 or 4 or 5 hours in deep into our fucking PoE like playtime, and my brain's so fried, all I see is alchemy orbs and chaos orbs on the ground, and my brain is like so hyper focused, fixated on Path of Exile that nothing else like matter. I'm like so hyper focused and like tunnel visioned on Path of Exile that everything else is like gibberish to me. So I've like been meaning to ask you what Crabcore was, because you've mentioned it ad nauseum whenever we talk about
Yeah,
it, at least once in conversation. But
yeah,
and for those, you know, because you obviously mentioned in Torin and them joining the band recently. And this is not a shameless plug at all. I would do this if I had never known you. Uh, was Torin on Fade Indigo?
yes.
Okay,
So
that's
the
the screams during the chorus, the second chorus.
no, Fade Indigo is all me vocally. We didn't have time to really redo any of the vocals to add. Um, the In fact, for Fade Indigo, I don't think Sean's in it at all either. I think Fade Indigo vocally is completely me. That's gonna change with the next one. Sean and Torin are both pretty prominently featured on our next single, but Torin, all of the backings, anything that's not a guitar, bass, drum, every electronic element you hear on Fade Indigo is Torin. Um, Torin didn't write that part, but they were a perfect fit for that song, especially as a synth player, because Ryan and Sean actually wrote. So during the chorus, you hear the ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. That was Ryan and Sean actually. So they came up with that, and I'm just like, okay, that's really cool, and that's how we ended up writing it. The chorus came first. Not only the chorus, but the synth, the chorus synth came first.
Yeah.
So that started the song. That kind of like, and it's I wanted that synth part to be whiny, like really, really over the top and kind of blown out of proportion, really, really loud, really, really high pitch, almost screechy in a way, and that's because of Crabcore. Any kind of electronic elements like that is just that it came from that era of metalcore.
Yeah, and it's honestly like, and I've told you this like a million times, if not once, and I will say it again. And at any point in time, if I get too annoying saying this over and over and over again, please, the next time I see you, because I'm gonna see you next week, please slap the shit out of me if I say this too often. That song has to be second to a few, or I'll just say the entirety of Even in Arcadia from Sleep Token. Fade Indigo has to be my favorite song currently at the moment. Like second only to insert any song that isn't Provider off of Even in Arcadia. And it's because that, and I saw a comment on the YouTube video where you guys got the visualizer for it.
Yeah.
Someone said that this is the greatest blend of like electronic and metal they've ever seen, and I'm like, I looked at it and I said, that is 100%, like, you took the words out of my mouth. It is, and I will link it. That is going to be a thing 100%. I will link it. That is one of my favorite songs currently. It is the third most played song currently on my Spotify. It is third only to, in order, Fade Indigo, Damocles off of Even in Arcadia, and Look to Windward off of Even in Arcadia. So you guys specifically, and you've told me this, that I heard Fade Indigo when I saw you guys perform at Emo Night. I swear to God, I don't remember that. So it was perfect, because when you finally dropped like the video for it, I thought this was like brand new, like never before heard, third in Delaware, and I listened to it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm actually driving home from work. And my drive home from work is like 20 minutes. That song played probably on it, like played, finished, and then I immediately set repeat 1 on and let it play the entire drive home, because I was like, what the fuck? Because I already liked Schemas and Mayflower and like some of the older stuff you guys did. That song to me is crazy. And again, this is not a shameful promo. This is like, even if I wasn't as close a friend with you as I am currently, and I'd never known you and you're a complete stranger, I would say this 100 times over. This, you guys have something that I think the metal scene, I don't want to say is missing, because obviously
Yeah, so many bands are doing it. Yeah, yeah, but it's a yeah. Thank you, by the way. First, and then second, I know what you're trying to say. It's kind of like it's an element that's you don't really. It's always there, especially in metalcore. There's almost always electronic elements, unless you get into like bands that purposefully want that older style metalcore feel. The one of the best albums that are like that is album called "The Fire Itself" by a Christian metalcore band called Phineas. Shout out Phineas. We opened for them back in 2019-ish, along with like Moss to Flames, Ocean's 8 Alaska, and Novelists. But yeah, that album, that's one of the only really good albums, or like phenomenal metalcore album, no electronics. But otherwise, a lot of metalcore mostly will have electronics. But that's the challenge, right? Like that YouTube comment on my video. It's like, it's hard to blend it. Like what's too whiny? What's too much? You know, wub wub, dubstep, whatever. On our upcoming track, there's a lot of obviously, especially with Torin as part of the band. We have a lot of electronic elements, even more so than Fate Indigo. There's parts of our upcoming single where, like in the old days, like in Crabcore days, the entire song drops, and then you hear some like crazy dubstep shit for like 5 seconds, and then we go into a breakdown. It's really, there's something about it. There's something about like it kind of it scratches that nostalgia in myself and probably a few listeners without them even knowing that it's like a nostalgia thing. Because if they don't know what Crabcore was, then they kind of get a gist of it, especially with my band now, with having someone actually dedicated to not only producing those electronic sounds in the studio versions, but also doing them live as well. So
because Torin hadn't been in the band when you guys went and did emo night, when I saw you at emo night, but Torin
correct. But Torin was, yeah. Torin's been a friend of the band for a very long time. Their first tour was with us. We went. That was when we went over to Memphis, and we were on Beale Street. We went to New Orleans. We went on Bourbon Street. Lots of I love you, dude. Lots of drunk I love you, dude. Lots of tears. Tour's always fun.
Conversation in the Discord where was it Rev or Trev that had no idea? No, it wasn't Trev, was it? No, it wasn't Trev. Was it Revan that didn't know that he said all of that because he was so drunk that night in New Orleans? I'll have to go and.
Yeah, I'm not sure what part it was, but yeah, I don't think Revan was too. I don't remember. That was a while ago.
So, obviously, I've mentioned, and like we've mentioned their name quite often, so it's only right that this is the segue to the elephant in the room. But I'll start with this question, and then we'll go into probably talking about them at length. Metalcore as a genre, I've noticed, obviously from being newer into the scene and getting into it around, we'll mention the elephant in the room, the Sleep Token era of metalcore. I've noticed now, having gone back and listening to, you know, like Ocean's 8 Alaska and Parkway Drive and like listening to like older Lorna Shore and Dance Gavin Dance and Whitechapel, and like I started listening to a few Whitechapel songs this week because I was bored and a little angsty, and I figured I'm gonna get some like some heavier like deathcore stuff, and some Slaughter to Prevail made it on my playlist. But where do you think, like, what band, I guess I'll say it like this, what band do you think, in your opinion, started this change, this like renaissance into what metalcore is now? And do you think that this era of metalcore is healthy, or do you think that it's a little too, I'll use the term, overproduced?
Okay. So, I really think that metalcore as a genre has been turning into like I was saying earlier, metalcore is a really good template because all metalcore is a pop formula, a catchy chorus, some you can throw in, you can be as heavy or as clean as you want in metalcore, but overall you do a good chorus 2 or 3 times in the song, something that people can sing along to. You have a good like hooky guitar riff somewhere or not. There's always pop music. I always say it's boy bands with breakdowns. Is what metalcore is in general. Because it's such a good template, I really don't think that it was really like a switch of like, oh, sing like Hosier and then put breakdowns over it and you have Sleep Token, or throw some R&B style into it and then you have bands like Slaves, Johnny Craig, all the Johnny Craig bands, Amorosa, Slaves, DGD, and that's like, oh, like sing like Neo or Usher, but then have some depending on which Johnny Craig band, but obviously we're talking about Johnny Craig as like throwing his vocal style, his very R&B inspired vocal style over metalcore or post-hardcore. But specifically metalcore, because it's such a good template, I don't think there was really ever a flip a light switch on and now it's this. I think it's always kind of been like it was always gonna go down this route because of how bands have been using metalcore as basically people have been fusing metalcore with other genres for a very long time now. Obviously you have bands like A Day to Remember who are like love them or hate them back then. Now they especially they used to be like almost deathcore, their first ever album, if you've ever heard it. I love their first album. And then obviously, Downfall of Us All and those albums, or like Homesick, those blended pop punk and metalcore probably better than anyone else did it, especially at that time. And then you have bands now like Landmarks that kind of blend hardcore and metalcore together really well. And then you have, Johnny Craig blending metalcore, post-hardcore, and R&B really well. And this has been happening for decades. So this has been happening for like 12, 15, almost 20 years now. So it's not really a light switch. I see it as a gradual, it just depends on what the people listen to and what the people like. And right now, obviously, it's like Bad Omens and Sleep Token. They're like tippy top right now in popularity. And the music of both of those bands are phenomenal. They write great music. They're great musicians. Catchy songs, really good. So I don't want to attribute it to any kind of like band that started all of this, because it's been happening. Another question you asked was, trying to remember.
Do you think that because of the way that music sounds nowadays, with like the Bad Omens, the Dayseekers,
is it in the right direction? Yes, I think it is. I think it is the right direction because metal's always been this like genre gatekeep mentality more so than any other genre, uh, because it's so diverse, right? You have, you'll have listeners be like, oh, if there's clean vocals, it's not really metal, and you'll have listeners that go, oh, this guy's rapping, what's happening? Like, you can argue that I rap and Fade Indigo. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like there's a lot of hate for for reasons that I don't really understand, and it's been like this. So if all the core kids, all the core people that are listening, they'll know what I'm talking about when it's so gatekeepy, and it's like, oh, it's hardcore, like I can't two-step to this. It's trash, like it's weird. And for anyone who like sees it like that, I urge you to go to a live show, because I feel like a live show really brings it all together, and that's why I talk so fondly about the festivals, your Warped Tour and your Mayhems, because when you experience music live, as you have with us at Emo Night, you kind of you get this vibe in the room, and everyone's fixated on you, and everyone kind of understands the vibe that you try to give out. And I tried to have my music not only as like a release and something that I do, something that I love. I try to put a message behind it in the best way that I can, and I try to at the same time have fun and to like truly have fun. And that's one thing that a lot of metal, listen to metal and you think of it as like serious, like, oh, especially nowadays with you have such sad boy like songwriters. But I really love what Bill Murray is doing, because not only is Bill Murray, if you didn't know, I'm sure I've gone over this before, but Bill Murray is wild. He's merging country, metalcore, pop, amazing. And Johnny Frank is one of the original members of Attack Attack, which was crabcore. So 15 years ago, Bill Murray was crabcore. So, and I love that. And it just kind of goes to... but anyways, my point was, he has so much fun. He has so much fun, Bill Murray. On stage, all of his songs, they're all called random hog cranking crazy titles. And
sort of what we got back in like the pop punk era. I speak of,
yeah
is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off, which for like 15-year-old me, seeing that title for the first time, that was wild. I'd never seen someone's song title be like that, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? I'm like, who the fuck is this? Because this was like, I was just getting into like the pop punk scene, and people, I had, this is dating way back, I had Skype groups with some of my friends, and like Google chats, like groups with some of my friends when we were in high school. And I had one with Mikey, and I would always ask Mikey, I'm like, Mikey, what's the song of the day? And he would just throw me a random song. And one of the days he just throws, "Lying is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off." And I'm like, what the fuck are you on, dude? I'm like, who is this band? Come to find out, it was Panic at the Disco, and probably one of the, like one of top 5 pop punk bands back then. But yeah, like, weird ass song titles and weird ass vibes is like my kind of shit.
Yeah, I think overall I agree. It's funny because a lot of Revan's kind of the opposite. Revan, my other guitarist, he wants everything to be one word. That's why you got Schemas. That's why you got Mayflower. I think the original titles for those names were more than one word, but he loves one word stuff, and so I don't know. Maybe we'll release a long drawn out title, because Sean loves those. The other guitarist, he likes those.
which
But
is crazy that he likes one word song titles, but we go 0 days without Revan talking about high water.
yep.
zero
Yeah,
days. 0 days.
surprisingly, I don't think I'm sure he's mentioned Sleep Token, but specifically High Water. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, but you have metal is so serious now, and Bill Murray's lyrics are amazingly written. They're so emotional. They're so deep. But he has this. He has fun, and he's kind of amassed this cult following of having fun. Even though his songs are so serious and so emotional and sad, and they're about him reflecting on some of the worst experiences that he's had in his life. So, metal is probably the best genre of music to really get everything off of your chest because you're able to scream it. At the same time, you're able to write something catchy so that you can hear it sung back at you, and you can jump and you can bang your head and you can, wave your hands around, turn on your phone lights or your lighters. You can do all of that stuff. You have such a wide spectrum of emotion that you can convey with metalcore, especially now with the blending of post-hardcore, of pop punk, of R&B, of country, of like literally name a genre and someone's done it with metalcore in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And I think it's only going to get better from here. I think that there's really it can't be a bad thing because metalcore's been this template for over a decade now, and it's only going to get better. So, like, I it's really cool because you haven't seen metal this popular in a very long time. Because if you think about it, when's the last time you've seen a band like Knocked Loose just kill it in front of Coachella on Jimmy Kimmel, and then obviously they bring in Poppy up there with them too, with their joint song. You haven't seen something like that in a very long time. And like we were talking about earlier, you don't see deathcore bands doing arena tours. You haven't seen deathcore bands do arena tours in a very long time. Like Lorna Shore, like how long have they been going off of that album that they released? Pain Remains or Pain something? The one with
Pain Remains.
yeah, Pain Remains. How long has it been? They've been touring off that album for about at least 3 years now, right?
And there was there was an interview that Will Ramos did, or like a little TikTok thing that I saw, where it says 10-song death playlist, like you can only play these 10 songs or the band dies. Like everyone in the band dies, it gets wiped from everyone's memory. You fade into obscurity like instantaneously, but you can avoid this by only playing 10 songs. What are they? And it's crazy that it made perfect sense that he said Pain Remains and said, I don't know, pick fucking one of them. And I'm like, yeah, that tracks. And he said their new song Oblivion, but didn't mention To the Hellfire, which I thought was weird because shit, that was how I found Lorna Shore, was To the Hellfire.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people found Lorna Shore.
Because that has some of the most, like, what Will Ramos can do with his voice. And I've mentioned this, and I may have sent you the video, but if not, I'll send you the video. There's a lady who does reactions to, like, listens to music and reacts to them on YouTube. Elizabeth, or the Charismatic.
Yeah, she did the laryngoscope or oroscope.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Stuck a camera down his throat and had him do all of his vocals, and it was the most interesting thing I've ever seen, because she had found, like, someone randomly on her Patreon donated to have her listen to the Hellfire, and the second she had said in an interview that she had did, that the second she had finished her reaction, she desperately for like 2 weeks spent trying to find any way to connect with Will and get him on her YouTube channel. And then they reacted to a bunch of Sleep Token because, for those who don't know, Will Ramos is probably the biggest Sleep Token fan in the world. That man would die if Vessel was standing in front of him. He would implode. He is the biggest Sleep Token fan in the world, and he says that it is his dream, his magnum opus. He's like, I can retire from metal like the happiest man on the planet. Mind you, this man is married and has experienced the joy of being married. And he says the happiest moment in his life would come if you see Sleep Token or Lorna Shore insert song title featuring Sleep Token. And
yeah, it's funny because Sleep Token stole Bill Murray's saxophone. The saxophone that you hear in the new Sleep Token album, that's Bill Murray's saxophone player.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly, you wouldn't think that you would imagine that there's a big difference of what happens. Like, does anything different happen when you scream? And as far as I know, as a screamer and a singer, you do the same shit, but it's all technique. So, like, my animal noises will not come close to Will's animal noises, or I think Kyle from Brand of Sacrifice has even crazier animal noises. But it's interesting that they are getting into this more now. But I think, like I was saying earlier, there are so many resources now, so that more and more people can just kind of realize that, hey, screaming is just a different way of singing, because there's really not much of a difference with it.
Yeah, there's a few things that he did when they had the scope down his throat that were different than anything you could ever do. I mean, Elizabeth is a classically trained opera singer, and so she has spent her entire formative years doing opera, and then her entire YouTube career was taking music and analyzing it vocally, breaking it down to this is what they're doing, this is how it would look if you could see it. And then she met Will, and she's like, I've never seen someone do this. She called compared him akin to a demon from Diablo. And I'm like, yeah, that last part into the Hellfire is definitely we've opened the gates of hell. I'm expecting Doom Guy to bust through the door and cock a shotgun and try to be where the demon's at. But
I haven't seen that video, but I almost feel like I would disagree, because I'm sure she's seen it before. If she's looked at a laryngoscope before, the same way that you go into falsetto for an opera segment, or whenever if you know what falsetto is, it's basically when the difference between and or same note. I gotta sing the same note. So So what you're doing is you're hardening your vocal folds, and you are letting the air pass through the membrane instead of the entire fold, because you're forcing the actual fold still, so that only the membrane vibrates. And that's what happens when you enter head voice. And that's also what happens when you go into fry screaming. So when you go into fry screaming, you are more in your head voice than you are in your chest voice. And when you do false chord, you're much more in your chest voice than you are in your head voice. Your larynx and your vocal folds will do the same thing. So I wonder, because they don't look at, they don't have them sing, right?
No, I mean not
that's
sing, but they have him do all of his
all of the techniques. What would be better? What they should have done is they should have had him sing head voice, sing mixed voice if he can do mixed voice. I'm not sure of his singing techniques. I know he can sing, and he sings very well, but I don't know if he can do mixed voice. I can barely do it, but or how much tone and how strong his mixed voice is. But have him do chest voice, have him do mixed voice, have him do head voice, and have him do the most falsetto that he can possibly achieve, and then have him do chest voice, and then have him do a tunnel throat, then have him do fry screaming. And it'll be the same, it'll look the same, or very similar, because you do all the same techniques on the inside.
Yeah.
What's different is how you push the air through, and how you shape your mouth, where you place your tongue is very important. Those last two are very important. The shape of your mouth and where you place your tongue. But the air, the control, the air that you push through in singing is the same air that you push through when you scream.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that video, but you do this, but you do the same things. So I hope or wish or whether it's been done or not. I really wonder what the difference would be because you do the same thing. Yeah.
I'll have to send it to you. So obviously we're coming up on like an hour and a half. So for the next like 5 minutes, I'll throw some rapid fire questions at you, and then I'll let you plug everything, and I'll have like one other question at the end that hopefully I can get an answer to. If not, then sucks to be the audience because I'm going to do this for you guys. So rapid fire questions. Favorite metal vocalist?
That's hard. Metal period.
Or metalcore vocalist.
Metalcore. I am still sticking with my last interview. Marcus Vick of Invent Animate is the absolute GOAT right now. I am still completely enamored with Invent Animate. They have put on one of the best metalcore shows I have ever seen, and I've been to a lot of shows over the course of my life. And the Bloomin' Heaven tour with Silent Planet and Invent Animate, part 2, they're doing their part 2 now or pretty soon. So if you're in a B city, they did part 2 of Bloomin' Heaven. They're doing a B tour version of it. So if you are in a not A tour like Dallas, so if you're like Houston or Austin or a B city, they're doing that. I'm gonna shout them out because they are phenomenal bands, and they have put together they have put together the best metalcore show I have ever seen. And I'll quickly go into why. Not only are they amazing bands, but you never see this. Every single band on the bill had full production, had full lighting setup, had full everything. So normally when we play for big national acts, we're not allowed to bring our lights. We're not allowed to bring fog. We're lucky if we're allowed to run backings. We're not able to do a lot because they don't even want a possibility of upstaging, and they don't want the opening band to for whatever reason. And I understand, but what Invent Animate and Silent Planet did is that they not only did they let effects happen for the opening bands, they let them use the main lighting setup. Every band. So each band had a full-on performance. So even the smallest band had the biggest show. And that big show just continued for every band. Because every band had a light show. Every band had fog. Every band had everything. And I've never seen that before. So that combined with, Marcus Vick and Invent Animate being Texas boys, except Marcus himself from Sweden. Definitely Marcus Vick. Go see him live. Bloomin' Heaven Part 2 is happening, but yeah.
Okay. Favorite metalcore drummer?
It is between the old drummer of All That Remains, which is the first metalcore band I ever heard. I forgot his name, but I had him sign the back of my VIP South by So What festival laminate back in 2011, 2010 maybe. It's between him and two's up there. For now, I mean, I don't know metalcore drummers too well, but two's obviously in contention, is always in that argument, because he is able to he knows what to do when. You can play chops for 6 minutes straight if you want. But if Revan ever did an interview, I'm sure he'll drill this into everything. Metal is only heavy when you hear how soft the rest of it is. There's no heavy without soft. There is no loud without soft, or whatever the opposite. Like it has to be variance. There has to be ups and downs in metal. In the same way with like playing, singing, anything. Drums especially, because it's the backbone of every song. It's percussion is very, very important. Every aspect of every song is important, but percussion has this really... There's something special about each layer of a song. And drums, I haven't really heard anyone mix those peaks and valleys as well as I've heard do in Sleep Token's music, because you hear chops and you hear groove, and he does them at the right time. He does them for the right length, especially live. Like the summoning, he does a really crazy. Yeah, he does a sick drum solo live. I almost wish they did it in the studio recording.
Yeah, that would have been.
But
oh man, that would have been. I
yeah.
That was my first song that I ever listened to from Sleep Token, was Summoning, and if they, now knowing what I knowing then what I know now, if they had played that drum solo in Summoning, that might have been my favorite Sleep Token song. As it is now, it is a tie between Look to Windward and Gethsemane. But
yeah, Look to Windward's very good, and Gethsemane's legendary. Yeah.
All right. What's the next one I had? I had it and then I lost. Oh, favorite metalcore album.
Probably.
He's grabbing the vinyl, everyone. He's grabbing the vinyl.
I need to look through it. I don't know if I can nail it down to one. I can nail it down to like
top 3.
Yeah, top 3 probably. This is The Dark Pool by Thornhill, Australian metalcore band. Phenomenal album. Might be a little too vibey for some of you, including my bassist, but it is phenomenal. In contention is also probably... It's probably a Polaris album somewhere in there. Probably The Death of Me. That album by Polaris. Number 3.
And then if number 3 doesn't fit where I want to go, I'll ask a very quick follow-up question, but continue.
Probably a metalcore. The Fire Itself by Phineas comes up. That's probably top 5. At least for me right now. Heavener's up there, obviously, with Invent Animate. Yeah, maybe if it's last 10 years, it's probably, for sure, it is probably those 4. Yeah, for sake of time, I'll stop there. Okay. So I'll say Thornhill's The Dark Pool, 2008. Polaris's The Death of Me, 20... Fuck me, I'm a fake fan. I don't know what year it came out. The Polaris's second full length, The Death of Me. 2022, Phineas, The Fire Itself. 2023, Heavener, Invent Animate.
All right.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I'll say.
Quick follow-up question, obviously, because we've talked about them. Where does Even in Arcadia land on your... Does it crack top 10 for you?
I don't think so.
That's interesting.
It's a great album.
Does any Sleep Token album crack top 10 for you?
I don't think so.
Interesting. Okay.
I think they have songs, they have singles that are... They have really good singles, but I think... I'm not really sure what would put a Sleep Token album, or what would put a future Sleep Token album in like top tier metalcore album as a whole.
An entire
But
Sleep Token album, like 14 songs, all crapcore. We're bringing it back.
that might be that. Yeah, that'll probably do it.
Then last one before we plug band and throw my one final question. Obviously, this is like the hypothetical like goat like metalcore. We'll do lead vocalist like blunt rotation. If you or like drink rotation. If you had to sit with like 4 other metalcore lead vocalists and share shots all night.
Just hang out.
Yeah, hang out and experience the full breadth of who they are as human beings over like an insanely dangerous level of alcohol.
I don't know if. I wonder if I don't know if I'd it's not that I would like not want to drink with these people, but I would ask them a lot of questions about the music industry. So I'm gonna say if I was able to have a closed table conversation about the music industry,
yeah,
with metalcore vocalists, it would be Howard Jones of Light the Torch, X Killswitch Engage. It would be probably Rory from Dayseeker. Vessel might be up there too. I think Vessel and Noah would be up there because their journey has been really, 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 really interesting. Their upcoming has been very quick, and in music, Vessel from Sleep Token and Noah from Bad Omens. Music is interesting because nobody knows what they're doing. It's one of the only things I think this kind of counts for all forms of art. I was listening to a podcast a little while ago, and it was this actor and a scientist. And the scientist was talking to this actor, and the actor said, one of the most wild things, if he were to reflect on, is that nobody knows anything. The most famous people you know, and because he's an actor, he was talking about actors, they got to where they are probably through 90% dumb luck. Because nobody really knows what they're doing. When you're an artist, you kind of just... It almost sometimes, it feels like it devolves into who can fake it the best, and then what do you do from there? Like, how can you market yourself faking it the best in order to make it? And it's not necessarily that I want to do that for myself or for my band. Obviously, as an artist, I would love for my content to be successful. I would love for my music to be successful. I would love for my project to be successful. But nobody really knows what they're doing. And it would be an interesting conversation. For like people who went viral very quickly, to get their thoughts on the industry overall, the thoughts on their own psyche, because at the end of the day, they're people too. And what I loved about Sleep Token's latest album is that you get to see the person behind them sometimes in some songs, and that's the beauty of it all. That's why we do music, is to show vulnerability, I think. At least to me. Music is a way to be yourself it's a good way to show yourself. It's a good way to have that spotlight on you, literally, so that the rest of your life you can think a little more clear. And I'd love to. That would be really cool. So yeah, I would say having the two vocalists of two of the most like viral sensation metalcore bands of the last 5-10 years, definitely, and then just through sheer vocal prowess and technique and everything, Rory Rodriguez, which we've actually. Rory and I have talked before, and he gave me a lot of vocal tips for like performance and for keeping your voice up during touring, and I still use a few of those techniques to this day. This was like during the pandemic, so maybe 2021-ish. But yeah, just getting to dig deep into those vocalists' brain on like technique or like virality, their psyche in general because of that virality, their thought process, how much of a hand they had in the process of like marketing and all of that, because the numbers are really interesting to see. But yeah, and then Howard, same overall kind of like just vocal prowess, and respect. That's four. So if I were to say one more that's not Marcus Vick, because I've already gone on about him enough in this interview and the last. Man. I have to think about a curveball. It's a curveball answer. Let me see. I don't want to say Polaris, Jamie from Polaris either, because I'm already too much of a Polaris simp. Let me look at my albums real quick. A lot of that's pop punk.
You could be a Polaris simp, because I'm a Sleep Token simp. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I'll throw a curveball and switch genres and say Derek Sanders of Mayday Parade, because I have him to thank for a lot of, not only him, but the story of Mayday Parade, with the whole Warped Tour follow around and, stand outside of Hot Topic and pray that you sell enough CDs there so that you can make it to the next city, because you're following Warped Tour all summer. Because, like, when the line ended and everyone got into Warped Tour, they just went to a mall and just stood outside of Hot Topic and sold their albums there until it was time to drive to the next city. But, yeah, probably that, because it's that mindset that Derek had and Mayday Parade had that really kind of like set in motion what kind of thoughts you have to have as a musician to get it heard, to be heard, and to present yourself in public, present yourself on stage. And this goes for everyone, because all of the vocalists that I mentioned in this question are very good at doing that. Their presentation is very good. Their technique is phenomenal. Their knowledge about the industry is very great. It's very, very vast. And yeah, that'd definitely be something that I'd love to talk about with them.
All right, and then one real quick final joke question before we get to the shameless, like not shameless, but band plug and the very, very, very final question. I just looked it up. We are currently like 63 days with Revan not mentioning high water. How long do you think it'll be? Like, what day do you think we'll get to before Revan mentions
we're at 60. We're at 63. We go on tour in 1, 2, 3, 3.5 weeks. So the real question is, does he bring up High Water by Sleep Token before tour, on tour, or after tour? That's how I'm thinking of it.
That's a good question.
So I don't know if he would bring it up on tour. On tour, we're going to be very stressed, very rushed, we talk most about music, obviously, on the road because we're listening to music. Because a lot of the time I'm shotgun, and it's me and Revan talking business while everyone else fucks off on their phone. Trying to think. I don't think it'll be before the tour. I don't think High Water will be mentioned before September. I don't think it'll be mentioned on the tour. So it'll be after the tour, but how far? We're at 63 right now.
Roughly, give or take.
Give or take 63.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it was like I think it was like early June that
And for
Reverend mentioned High Water, because at the end of May,
Yeah.
we got, or like right like the beginning / like middle of May, we got Even in Arcadia.
So for context, Revan, my guitarist, one of my guitarists, the founder of the band, he prides himself on being the Sleep Token fan before Sleep Token blew up, kind of thing. And when Sleep Token were still unknown, Revan was all over a single of theirs called High Water, and he would just bring it up constantly. And because nobody knew who Sleep Token was, it was just like, there goes Revan talking about that one band again that nobody knows. And then, the summoning happened, and that changed forever. And now Revan's like that. Oh, I liked Sleep Token when they were cool. I actually don't think he's a big fan of their newer music. For whatever reason. Yeah.
Elitist motherfucker. I love Revan.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to. I haven't.
When High Water was being played, I like Sleep Token back when they weren't like blowing up.
Yeah, I'll have to. I don't think I actually know his thoughts completely on like the new album and like what does High Water have that the newer stuff doesn't have, because a lot of it's similar and in a way that it's definitely the production has taken quite an improvement. No shade on the producer of Sleep Token's first albums. I actually listened to an interview with him, and lots of respect for him and how like he was an unknown producer until Sleep Token, because he did Sleep Token. He produces Ghost now, I believe, and I don't know anything about Ghost. I know they're huge, but like I don't know anything about them. But
I see them all the time.
Yeah. They're very popular. So,
like that meme. I think was it Revan or Madeline that made that meme of, this is every single metal band in 2025, and it's just like scribbles of like water on a sidewalk, and that's like every like logo for a band ever in like. It's just the scribbles.
Yeah, the scribbles. That's deathcore. Yeah, that's deathcore.
Yep. Band, and that's exactly what Ghost looks like to me. It's like
that's just trees. Oh, it gets way worse than that. Ghost logo ain't shit compared to some deathcore bands, man. Sean loves that. You'll get Sean going if you send him like a bunch of wrinkles on a couch, like rips and tears on a couch. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And and it looks like a deathcore logo. He'll love that. You just put it in the Discord and tag him. He'll love it. He'll get a kick out of it.
I guess we could technically force 0 days without or 0.
We can force it, but I'm not planning on it. Yeah. I'm gonna say before the end of the year, High Water will be. I'm gonna say. I don't know. He hasn't mentioned it in quite a while, and I think it'll go for quite a while longer. I think it'll double. If it's 60 days now, I think it'll double. I think it'll be 120. I think 4 months is a comfortable assumption of when High Water will be brought up again. Yeah.
I would say probably somewhere in October. Like we'll get a High Water mention. Unless it by some miracle we force it this weekend or this upcoming weekend, and I'm not
planning on forcing it.
No,
so
then we're gonna get Revan talking for 45 minutes straight about High Water, and it's a special weekend for you. I'm not fucking doing that. All right, so now we'll finally get to the band plug. Where can the listeners find Third and Delaware?
We are most active on Instagram. You can find us at our @ is Third and Delaware Band. That's like third, like first, second, third. The word and A&D, Delaware, like the state band. That's our handle. We have everything. It's Third & Delaware on Facebook. Probably on TikTok too. I don't really do that, but you can join our Discord, our Linktree. Lee will post the Linktree of the band, and that has links for everything. Our latest video, our upcoming shows, the Discord, all social media handles, our Spotify. Everything's on the Linktree. It's Linktree / I think it's just Third and Delaware. I'm not sure, but he'll put it down. Yep. We are hitting the road in a couple weeks to hit up a couple smaller towns in South Texas. So if you are anywhere near Houston or the border, we are hitting up Laredo and Corpus Christi. We are opening a brand new venue in Corpus called I am a good band daddy. I know the name of the venue. I definitely do. I am not stalling right now.
Not stalling for the next 10 minutes so we can hit 2 hours on this? No, totally not.
We are opening a venue called The Artisan in Corpus Christi, Texas. It'll be the first show ever at this venue. That'll be on Saturday, September 6th. We are very, very honored and very excited for that. That show filled up very quickly, and I'm really excited. A lot of hype. Ticket sales are surprisingly existent. So, I don't know if it'll sell out. I don't know the capacity of the venue. I don't know anything. I just know that it'll be the first show ever at that venue, and thank you to the venue and for letting us be the first show that y'all put on ever. So excited for that. Yeah, anywhere South Texas or Houston. We're hitting up Houston and some border cities in about 3 weeks.
Do you have any Dallas shows planned for?
Not right now. We could have, but the timing didn't work out, unfortunately. I'll tell you off air. Something you'll be pretty shocked. Not shocked, but I guess you'll get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
But
final question to pray that we get this for the listeners. If I will put full content, or like full not spoiler, but like full beforehand for this. Obviously Richy is a friend of mine. This podcast is gonna have most of my friends. I'm not, if this blows up and does well, then maybe I'll start asking some people that are, adjacent in my like in my communities that I'm in, but not necessarily like people that I know personally or have like spent hours upon hours in Discord calls with. You guys really should check out Third and Delaware. They are an amazing band. This is not shameless because Richy's my friend. I would say this even if he wasn't my friend. They are an amazing, amazing, amazing band. Can you give us the release date for the new single?
I cannot. We are filming it in September, and it is the heaviest single that we have that we will be releasing to date, I believe. It's also not crazy. Like, it's not like breakdowns for the entire time. It's still metalcore. It still has an arena chorus. It's got some dubstep. It's got some good old crabcore, drop out and then have some wub wub playing and then go into a breakdown. Really, really cool.
I tried.
Really fun stuff.
I tried.
The single will be called Reticence, RETICENCE. It is.
I didn't even know the name until today.
It is a synonym of being withholding or silent. It is an angry song.
Now you've got me interested. Like personally, you got me interested. Fuck you. Now I gotta wait.
It is a personal song. It is a angry song, and yeah, it's just it's really good. I'm looking forward to it. It's you always think your next song is your best song so far, so this is our best song so far. But legitimately, this is probably the heaviest song we've put out.
Is the new venue gonna get the single? Will it be out in time?
Yes, we will be playing the new single in every city that we are going to next month.
So if people are in the Laredo, Corpus Christi, like South Texas area, go let me live vicariously through you and listen to the new single live, because apparently I listened to the most recent single, and I had no idea that I had listened to it until you had told me. So please go let me live vicariously through you and go listen to the new single and go absolutely check out Third and Delaware. I'll put the link tree. I'll put the Spotify links I'll go back through this and listen to it and figure out the Spotify links that I have to put in, and we'll add some links in there. But thank you, Richy, for doing this. I know we've been trying to schedule this for 2 fucking weeks now, and it's
not too bad.
Work shit and band shit. This is probably the easiest scheduling, because I messaged you earlier. I messaged you earlier this morning, and I was like, "Are you going to be on tonight?" Thinking I was purely just for gaming, purely just to see last epoch shit if we could do it tonight. And then you're like, and I'm like, "Oh, podcast maybe?" And you're like, "Yeah, 9 works." I'm like, "All right, dope. Yeah, sure. Shit, let's do it."
Yep.
Literally had.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Check out Lee and whatever he's got going on next on his little podcast.
Yeah. I still have to figure it out. It will either be one of 2 people next. It will either be it's KB Alpha, a good buddy of mine. We're going to be talking about the Destiny community and just the community as a whole, or it is going to be one of my best friends, Kat, and we're going to be talking about they have a LFG that they made, a looking for group Discord that they made that blew up, pretty popular overnight. A couple thousand people in this Discord, seemingly overnight. So I'll probably end up either talking to Alpha or Kat and see their takes on the Destiny community. But Richy, I thank you for doing this. This was a crazy cool interview, and I am actually really, really, really excited to see if I could if this picks up, because this is I'll have some time now with my recent life changes. I'll have some time to do these.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Listen in, see a show, whether it's mine or not. Support live music. It's been good. It's been a pretty decent. It's been good and bad for the industry lately. There's a lot of pluses and minuses to live music right now, but if you're only able to hit up a few shows a year and you want those shows to be good and national shows, then I totally understand. Ticket prices have gone up, and I totally get it. But
support live music.
Support live music in any fashion, whether it's the smallest band, whether you're just stopping by. Local shows are $10, $15 at the highest, and then your national shows can go anywhere $40 and up. But yeah,
I think to get in, I got in for crew, but I think emo night was $15-20. I mean,
yeah, emo night here is good. There's not live music at every emo night. There's only live music at this one because Third String runs it, and thankfully, we have that We have that promoter and that community. Third String does really great work, and they're only like expanding the work that they're doing. If you're in Dallas, check out Puzzles. It just opened. Third String opened a new 400 to 500 cap venue in Deep Ellum called Puzzles. Literally just opened like last week. Lots of really good upcoming shows. I don't know if they've been announced yet, but there's a lot of really good bands coming through Puzzles, that new venue. So,
check out Puzzles, check out Trees. Trees does live music every now and then.
Yeah, support Deep Ellum. They're going through it right now because they're trying to, as far as I know, they're trying to close it down. I know it may not be the safest area of Dallas, but, you know, like, get out of Deep Ellum around midnight, but you know, all the live shows are done before then anyway.
Yeah.
So if you have the time, if you have the money, support Deep Ellum, support live music in no matter how big or small the band. It means a lot. If you can, buy a shirt. Merchandise is the number one way that you can support artists, and that's most artists, music or content creator, YouTube. If they have a merch line, that is the best way to support them. Ticket sales, not that less than you think of ticket sales goes to the band. But merch, most of it does go to the band. Support your merch guys, tip your merch guys, ask the merch tables that you go to if all the tips go to the merch guy. If they do, throw him a couple bucks, him or her a couple bucks. Yeah, it goes a long way because sometimes sometimes that tip, sometimes that shirt purchase that determines whether or not a band can make it to the next city. A lot of the time, even for bigger bands. Yeah. So
go support local bands like metal, like even if it's not metal, you know, metalcore or like metal music in general. Go support your local bands. If you've got a local indie band that you found on Spotify or found on TikTok and you really like them, go see when they're playing in your city and go support them. Go buy t-shirts. I know the girlfriend and I are going to go see Citizen Soldier at the end of August. This is the second time we're going to be seeing them. We saw them in September last year. We're seeing them in August this year. So really, really love supporting that band. The lead singer, Jake, is a licensed clinical therapist and has used his experience being a therapist to write some of the most beautiful music I have ever listened to. Like, it's just an amazing band, and I love that band, and so does my girlfriend, and so we're gonna go see them in August. A little late birthday gift for her, but yeah, definitely support your local bands. Go buy merch. Go, you know, ask them how you can spread the word. Obviously, that's, you know, Twitter and TikTok are big nowadays. If they have songs that make it to TikTok, put them in the sound and do a little dance over it and let it pop off on TikTok, or tweet about it or go on Instagram and talk about it. But definitely support your local band. Support Third in Delaware, an amazing band. And if you guys are in the South Texas area, definitely go experience my unconditional rage and jealousy that I can't make it. It is too far of a drive for me, but please go support all of your local bands and go support Third in Delaware. Richy, thank you again so much for doing this. This was
of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Very fun 2 hours, and we will. You guys will see this probably posted in today's the 10th. It'll probably be posted in the next week or so. So look for it around like middle of August for this to come out. Give myself some time to put all the link trees together and export everything to YouTube and stuff. I'm going to try to get this on audio-only platforms, on Spotify, on Podbean, but I will definitely get this on YouTube for sure, and I will share this on socials and everything. So, again, thank you, Richy, so much. Go support.
Thanks, man.
Delaware.
Everyone, the number for the National Suicide Lifeline, is 988. You are never alone. Mental health matters. You cannot you cannot take care of anyone else if you don't love yourself. So the first step is loving yourself. 988, do not be afraid to reach out for help.
Absolutely.
Cheers to all that we have lost to suicide along the way. They're not forgotten, and they are missed every day. Find your solace, everyone.
Yeah. Find your solace in music. Music is the best way to cathartically release all of your emotions. Don't bottle your emotions, guys. Don't do that. Talk to people. You know, seek outside help, even if it's friends or family. Like Richy said, 988. Go talk to someone if you're feeling lost. If you're ever, in a situation where you feel like you have no control, talk to somebody. It's more than likely, for your situation, it varies, but most of the time it's easy to regain control in a situation that you feel like you've lost control if you talk to somebody. So definitely go and talk to somebody. So thank you, Richy. Again, this is like the 5th time I said thank you, but I will continue to do it until I am blue in the face. Thank you so much for this.
Hell yeah, dude. Rock on.